At exactly 1 minute ago, the fragile, deceptive tranquility blanketing the eastern Mediterranean coastline was shattered by an unprecedented, multi-domain electromagnetic and kinetic assault aimed directly at the heart of Israel, a scenario that instantly triggered the most sophisticated and terrifyingly rapid air defense integration between the Israeli Defense Forces and the United States Navy ever witnessed in modern military history. In the skies above the densely populated and historically complex regions of Israel and Palestine, an invisible storm of electronic warfare began to scramble civilian and military air traffic control radar, painting phantom bogies across the screens of the Israeli Air Force underground command bunkers situated deep within the rocky, sun-baked terrain of the Negev desert. The tension in the region, always resting on a razor's edge due to the enduring friction between Israel and armed factions within Palestine, had escalated into a full-blown existential crisis when early warning satellites operated by the United States Space Force detected a massive thermal bloom offshore, indicating the sudden, coordinated launch of hundreds of advanced, low-flying cruise missiles and autonomous suicide drones from a flotilla of disguised commercial cargo ships that had been silently loitering in international waters just 200 nautical miles from the vibrant, bustling beaches of Tel Aviv. These were not the rudimentary, unguided rockets traditionally associated with the sporadic skirmishes along the borders of Palestine. These were state-of-the-art, radar-evading munitions equipped with artificial intelligence terminal guidance system, specifically designed to overwhelm the legendary Iron Dome, David's Sling, and Arrow 3 missile defense networks of Israel through sheer saturation, blistering speed, and coordinated swarm tactic. As the incoming threat rapidly descended to a sea-skimming altitude of merely 30 feet to hide beneath the curvature of the Earth and evade long-range terrestrial detection, the United States Navy stepped into the fray with earth-shattering technological fury, deploying the full, uncompromising might of a carrier strike group centered around a nuclear-powered supercarrier that had been secretly operating under total emissions control stealth protocols in the Levanten Basin. The American admiral in command, fully aware that a successful mass casualty strike on Israeli soil could instantly ignite a regional conflagration that would inevitably engulf Palestine, the United States, and the broader Middle East in a devastating, drawn-out war, ordered an immediate and unyielding defensive screen, instantly networking the Aegis combat systems of 3 Arleigh Burke-class destroyers directly into Israel's national air defense grid via a highly encrypted, quantum-resistant Link 16 tactical data link. This monumental digital handshake merged the incredibly sensitive maritime sensor data of the United States warships with the powerful, land-based phased array radars of Israel, creating an impenetrable, multi-layered dome of situational awareness that tracked every single hostile projectile with terrifying mathematical precision, calculating perfect interception trajectories in mere milliseconds. Aboard the United States destroyers, the vertical launch system cells burst open in a blinding sequence of sequential, thunderous flashes, sending dozens of Standard Missile 6 interceptors screaming into the night sky at speeds exceeding Mach 3, their solid rocket motors carving brilliant, fiery trails against the dark heavens as they raced eastward toward the threatened coast of Israel. Simultaneously, the Israeli Air Force scrambled 2 entire squadrons of F-35I Adir stealth fighter jets from their fortified subterranean hangar, the powerful thrust of their Pratt and Whitney engines shaking the tarmac as they launched into the night, their internal weapons bays fully loaded with advanced medium-range air-to-air missiles, ready to engage the unseen enemy. The skies over Israel and the adjacent, densely packed territories of Palestine quickly transformed into a chaotic, terrifyingly beautiful canvas of hypersonic warfare, a neon-lit gladiatorial arena where the fate of millions of innocent civilians rested entirely on the infallibility of microscopic microchips, reduced radar cross-sections, and the cold, unfeeling algorithms of modern combat systems processing threat vectors at the speed of light. The hostile drones, recognizing the massive wall of American and Israeli electronic interference, rapidly flooding the electromagnetic spectrum, attempted to execute pre-programmed evasive maneuvers, banking sharply and deploying sophisticated chaff and flares in a desperate bid to blind the incoming interceptor. But the combined computational dominance of the United States and Israel proved entirely too overwhelming for the autonomous swarm to defeat. The American electronic warfare aircraft, EA-18G Growlers, had already established a dominant, commanding holding pattern at 30,000 feet, projecting incredibly dense, directed columns of microwave energy that literally fried the navigation circuitry of the incoming drone swarm, causing dozens of the hostile aircraft to plunge harmlessly into the dark, rolling waves of the Mediterranean Sea long before they could even cross the coastline of Israel, or inadvertently threaten the civilian airspace of Palestine. For those hardened munitions that somehow managed to survive the American electronic onslaught and the long-range maritime missile barrages, the Israeli localized defense systems took over with brutal, unforgiving, and spectacular efficiency. The Iron Dome batteries, strategically positioned across the northern and southern borders of Israel, as well as near the volatile, heavily monitored boundaries of Palestine, sprang to life with an aggressive roar, their Tamir interceptor missiles launching in rapid, staccato bursts, painting the sky with the violent, blooming golden explosions of successful kinetic kills. The concussive sound of these mid-air interceptions echoed heavily across the ancient hills, deserts, and valleys, a thunderous symphony of survival that rattled the windows of homes in Jerusalem, Tel Aviv, and throughout the varied landscapes of Palestine, serving as a stark, heart-pounding reminder to every single soul within earshot of the terrifying, destructive realities of 21st century hybrid warfare. The United States Navy did not stop at merely playing a static defense, utilizing the incredibly advanced cooperative engagement capability. The American guided missile destroyers seamlessly passed high-fidelity targeting data directly to the Israeli stealth fighter, allowing the Israeli F-35 jets to remain completely electronically silent, acting as unseen, lethal assassins in the night sky as they picked off the remaining cruise missiles one by one, their highly trained pilots relying entirely on the uninterrupted data feed provided by their American allies operating miles out at sea in the pitch-black ocean. This unprecedented, seamless level of tactical interoperability between the armed forces of the United States and Israel served as a stark, undeniable, and deeply intimidating message to whatever hostile power had orchestrated this cowardly shadow attack. The enduring alliance between Washington and Jerusalem was not merely a matter of diplomatic rhetoric, but a tightly woven, fiercely integrated warfighting machine, absolutely capable of neutralizing the most sophisticated, multi-tiered threats ever conceived by military engineers. As the fierce, high-speed battle raged on, temporarily plunging the entire region into a state of total, breathless apprehension, intelligence analysts located in both the United States and Israel worked frantically, typing furiously at their consoles to geolocate the command and control nodes of the disguised cargo fleet, utilizing a vast, classified constellation of low Earth orbit surveillance satellites and high-altitude unmanned aerial vehicles to pierce through the enemy's extensive electronic countermeasures and pinpoint the exact geographic origin of the unprovoked assault. The chilling realization that this massive attack deliberately bypassed the traditional, localized friction points involving Palestine and instead originated from an external, highly advanced state actor cynically employing proxy shadow fleets added a deeply disturbing, profoundly dangerous layer of complexity to the geopolitical landscape, forcing Israeli and United States command authorities to immediately consider deeply severe, overwhelmingly proportionate retaliatory measures that could irrevocably alter the balance of power in the Middle East forever. Down on the surface of the earth, the resilient Israeli civilian population, tragically long accustomed to the sudden, piercing wail of air raid sirens and the tense, hurried rushes to reinforced concrete bomb shelters, watched the spectacular, terrifying light show unfolding in the stratosphere above their homes, their very lives safeguarded by the invisible, mathematical shield jointly held by the tireless vigilance of their own defense forces and the unwavering, massive maritime power of the United States Navy. Even within the borders of Palestine, the night skies were brilliantly illuminated by the furious, rapid-fire mid-air detonations, the raining metallic debris providing a stark, undeniable testament to the incredible lethality and indiscriminate, terrible danger of the incoming barrage that had been so masterfully and comprehensively thwarted by the combined, synchronized Allied defense network. The technical choreography required to execute this flawless, zero-fail defense was genuinely mind-boggling. Millions of lines of complex computer code processed billions of discrete data points every single second, intelligently filtering out the false radar echoes of sea clutter, weather anomalies, and the deliberate, aggressive electronic spoofing generated by the enemy, flawlessly isolating the genuine kinetic threats and instantly assigning the optimal weapon system to ensure a guaranteed explosive kill with absolutely zero margin for error. Every single American Standard missile and every single Israeli Tamir interceptor that found its mark in the dark sky represented a massive triumph of modern engineering and strategic foresight, a brilliant vindication of the decades of collaborative research, development, and massive financial funding shared intimately between the United States and Israel, aimed specifically at preventing this exact apocalyptic scenario from ever becoming a grim, bloody reality. As the final rogue suicide drone was violently blown out of the sky just 2 miles off the coast of Haifa, scattering harmlessly into the sea, the glowing radar screens inside the combat information centers of both the Israeli Defense Forces and the United States Navy destroyers finally began to clear. The chaotic, terrifying swarm of red hostile icons gradually replaced by the calming, empty green sweep of a secure, heavily defended airspace. However, the tactical victory was heavily laced with an ominous, lingering strategic tension. The rogue cargo ships that had launched the cowardly, unprovoked attack were currently attempting to rapidly scuttle themselves in the deep, freezing water to destroy any forensic, physical evidence of their origin and state sponsorship, sinking quickly into the abyssal depths of the Mediterranean and taking their dark, geopolitical secrets with them to the ocean floor. The Israeli Navy, backed closely by United States maritime patrol aircraft, immediately cordoned off the entire maritime sector, dropping a massive, overlapping network of active and passive sonar buoys to monitor the sinking vessels, and critically ensure no hostile attack submarines were lurking in the acoustic shadows, waiting to deliver a secondary, devastating subsurface blow to the vital underwater communication and energy infrastructure connecting Israel to the global economy. In the immediate, adrenaline-soaked aftermath of the intense engagement, as the morning sun began to slowly, beautifully rise over the ancient, deeply contested lands of Israel and Palestine, casting a warm, golden hue over a region that had just miraculously escaped absolute devastation. The highest political and military leaders of the United States and Israel convened via heavily encrypted, unhackable emergency video conferences to assess the severe strategic fallout of the night's terrifying events. The message sent by the unknown aggressor was terrifyingly clear. The era of contained, low-intensity, asymmetric conflict was rapidly evolving into a dangerous, unpredictable age of deniable, high-tech, multi-domain warfare, where the front lines were everywhere and nowhere, and where the physical survival of a nation depended entirely on its ability to seamlessly integrate its defenses with its most trusted allies at the absolute speed of light. The unyielding, impenetrable defense mounted by the Israeli military and the United States Navy not only saved countless thousands of lives across the breadth of Israel and potentially prevented disastrous, destabilizing collateral damage within Palestine, but it also unequivocally demonstrated to the entire, closely watching world that the skies over the eastern Mediterranean were an absolute fortress, guarded by an unblinking, technologically supreme alliance that would never be caught off guard, never be outmatched in the electromagnetic spectrum, and never, ever surrender the ultimate high ground to those who seek to sow terror and destruction. This unprecedented engagement, which unfolded completely in a matter of mere minutes, fundamentally rewrote the tactical doctrines currently taught in elite military academies across the globe, serving as a visceral, live-fire validation of the immense, undeniable power of coalition network-centric warfare and the absolute, unforgiving necessity of maintaining a persistent, highly capable forward military presence in historically volatile, unpredictable regions. The sheer logistical and operational complexity of seamlessly integrating the United States Navy's Aegis combat system with the multi-tiered, bespoke missile defense architecture of Israel, ranging from the high-altitude exo-atmospheric intercept capabilities of the Arrow 3 system to the low-altitude, point defense agility of the Iron Dome, required a level of inherent trust, technological parity, and real-time, low-latency data sharing that no other two allied nations on Earth could possibly replicate under the crushing, time-compressed psychological pressure of an active, overwhelming saturation strike. As the morning light fully illuminated the shores of the Mediterranean, the grim, serious reality of the situation began to set in. Specialized recovery teams from the Israeli Defense Forces, operating safely under the watchful, heavily armed protective overwatch of United States Navy Seahawk helicopters, rushed to the floating debris fields scattered across the coastal waters and the uninhabited, sandy stretches of the Negev desert, eager to retrieve the shattered, blackened remnants of the hostile drones and cruise missiles in a desperate, critical race to reverse engineer the advanced technology and definitively unmask the true, hidden identity of the belligerent state actor that had dared to launch such a brazen, massive attack. The invaluable intelligence gathered from these charred, twisted fragments of composite metal and silicon would be instantly shared between the Mossad of Israel and the Central Intelligence Agency of the United States, sparking a frantic, global shadow war of digital espionage, cyber retaliation, and intense diplomatic maneuvering that would stretch from the crowded, bustling, historic streets of Jerusalem and the contested, densely populated neighborhoods of Palestine to the quiet, highly classified, soundproof briefing rooms of the Pentagon and the White House. The leaders in Washington, standing shoulder to shoulder with their defiant counterparts in Israel, understood perfectly that this attack was not merely a kinetic military provocation, but a calculated, deeply cynical strategic stress test of the global geopolitical order, a desperate attempt to expose a fracture in the ironclad, historic alliance between the United States and Israel, and to exploit the ongoing, deeply sensitive regional dynamics involving Palestine to sow discord, fear, and political paralysis among the Western powers. However, the exact, precise opposite had occurred. Instead of finding weakness or hesitation, the attackers had collided headfirst with a seamlessly integrated, incredibly lethal shield of American and Israeli steel, a multi-layered defense in depth that had performed flawlessly, tracking, engaging, and utterly destroying hundreds of sophisticated airborne threats in a chaotic, electronically contested environment without allowing a single hostile munition to breach the protective dome and strike a populated, vulnerable area. The United States Central Command immediately elevated the readiness posture of all American forces stationed throughout the Middle East to the highest possible level, rapidly surging additional stealth fighter squadrons, intelligence-gathering aircraft, and ballistic missile defense destroyers into the theater, effectively transforming the eastern Mediterranean into a veritable, impregnable fortress of Allied military might, sending an unmistakable, incredibly loud message of absolute deterrence to any adversary contemplating a foolish follow-on strike against Israel. Inside the subterranean, heavily fortified command centers of Israel, the atmosphere shifted from the breathless, adrenaline-fueled intensity of the active kinetic engagement to a cold, calculated, and deeply methodical technical analysis of the enemy's tactics, techniques, and procedures. The Israeli Air Force commanders, analyzing the massive, petabyte-sized streams of telemetry data securely captured during the battle, realized that the unseen enemy had employed highly advanced, artificial intelligence-driven swarm logic, allowing the incoming drones to dynamically adjust their flight paths, share targeting data among themselves in real time, and autonomously attempt to exploit perceived vulnerabilities in the radar coverage over Israel and Palestine. The fact that the combined, synchronized computational power of the United States Navy and the Israeli defense networks was able to outthink, outmaneuver, and outfight this autonomous, non-human intelligence represented a monumental, truly historic triumph for the Allied forces, unequivocally proving that human oversight, when expertly paired with superior sensor fusion and overwhelming kinetic firepower, still maintained the ultimate, decisive tactical advantage on the modern, hyper-complex battlefield. The vast geopolitical ramifications of this miraculous, flawless defense echoed violently across the international community, drawing stark, immediate condemnations of the anonymous attackers from allied nations, while simultaneously forcing the silent, watching adversaries of Israel and the United States to frantically reevaluate their own offensive capabilities, realizing with a cold, terrifying dread that their most advanced, expensive weapon systems could be effortlessly swatted from the sky by the combined, networked might of the American and Israeli military machines, operating in perfect, unbreakable unison. In the tense days and weeks that would inevitably follow this historic, paradigm-shifting engagement, the contested skies over Israel and Palestine would remain heavily patrolled by the persistent, unblinking presence of United States and Israeli stealth fighters, their dark, angular silhouettes cutting smoothly through the clouds as a constant, highly visible, and deeply reassuring reminder to the civilian populations below that they were unequivocally protected by the most capable, deeply committed military alliance in the entire history of human conflict. The incredible story of this night, a dark night where the calm Mediterranean Sea briefly turned into a terrifying, neon-lit battlefield of the future, would be studied, meticulously analyzed, and deeply revered by tacticians for generations to come, standing forever as a glowing, undeniable testament to the remarkable courage of the radar operators, the unparalleled skill of the fighter pilots, and the absolute, unshakable resolve of the United States and Israel to stand firmly together, united in their shared defense against any threat, from any direction at any given time.